Welcome to the Overflow Worship Podcast, where we want you to thrive in the ministry God has called you to. We truly believe that God's placement has purpose, and we're here for you with encouragement and tools for the journey.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Overflow Worship Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Olson. Thank you so much for joining us again today. I'm really excited for today's episode, so I'm not going to waste any time. We're just going to jump right in because we have a really special guest today. And so we're going to get right to it. Everybody, welcome with me all the way from Georgia, Shelly Johnson. Thanks for being here, Shelly.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Absolutely. I love technology, that we can meet via technology. And I would love it if you would take just a minute or two and tell everyone just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Shelly, and I am married to my husband, Jack. We have been married almost 15 years at the end of this month. And we have two kids, a daughter, Mary Carson, who's 4, almost 5. I can't believe that. And another little baby boy named Brooks, who just turned 10 months old. And so I am definitely just in the season of motherhood, full on, just trying to keep these little tiny humans alive every day, and just very much in the trenches, but they're good trenches. I love the trenches, but it's definitely I'm realizing how much harder going from 1 to 2. I cannot believe just how much more that is. But it's just been so fun just navigating all of that. And originally from the Atlanta, Georgia area, and just always grew up playing the piano and singing in church, and I started writing songs when I was 14 when my dad passed away from cancer. It was a very devastating season and experience for me as a kid, and God really used that season to start to work in my life and shape me and give me songs to write. And so that's what led me to Nashville. I went to college in Nashville at Belmont University, majored in music there, and then stayed in Nashville for about 8 years after that, and just writing and doing the whole artist thing and traveling and serving at my local church as a worship leader. And God just began doing a lot in me during that season. And then almost about 8 years ago now, I can't believe it's been that long, my husband and I moved back to Atlanta. And I've just been doing, the same thing, just still leading worship and traveling and writing from Atlanta. And now in these last 4 years, just trying to figure out how to do that while being a mom. And so that's been just a whole new ball game. It's definitely been a balancing act, and it changes every month. I feel like as they grow and change, the balance. Just when I think I have a good little system, then, something changes and I have to reinvent my system again. But that's just a little snapshot.
Yes, I love that. Well, and it's true, especially in the young years, and when, you said Brooks is 10 months. And so, next month, his rhythm is going to be different. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult in those seasons to try to find a rhythm that works. I've had to find that too with myself, just having to hold my rhythms loosely.
Yes.
Because they're ever changing. I can't believe it's been 8 years since you moved back to Atlanta. I feel like
I can't either.
I had probably just recently met you not too long before that, but I can't believe
it's
that.
really crazy. Yeah. Time flies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so how about a little snapshot of where God has you right now, and then we'll just kind of take the conversation from there. But where does God have you right now in ministry and life and family? And let's dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm actually really excited about this season that I'm in right now, because for the longest time, I would say for most of my, quote, career / ministry, since the time I graduated college until when my daughter was born 4 years ago. So I would call that, my 20s. I graduated college when I was 22. My daughter was born when I was 30. And so for that whole decade almost, I was so focused on just, pursuing this calling God had put on my life and writing songs for the church. And that was just my every single day. I was just pouring myself into my career and, in a publishing deal and working with different record labels and doing the whole artist thing and traveling. And then something happened when I became a mom. It's almost like something in my heart just clicked into place that had never been there before. And I'm in this season now of just writing songs about just my everyday life. And it's weird how, for the longest time I thought when I wrote songs for, the church, that they needed to be as general as possible so that they could apply to the most people. And I'm kind of learning that the opposite is true. I'm in this season of just, as I've, getting further into this journey of motherhood and just beginning to understand things through my kids' eyes and through teaching them things, and God's teaching me things through me teaching them, and just all the challenges that come with parenthood, just the way that it tests your patience, the way that it tests your strength, just the way that it just challenges all these things about yourself. I feel like parenthood just brings everything to the surface in your heart. And so through that process, just all these songs have started, I've just started writing all these songs, and something, just a part of my heart that I wasn't really able to tap into for the longest time, I've finally been able to tap into again. Because as I shared, a minute ago, I started writing when my dad died. And so when I was 14 years old, I'm just in this very vulnerable place. And then I think for me, music kind of, when it became my major in college, and then it became like my career and like my job at a church, and it sort of became, it was still always a calling and a passion, but it's really easy sometimes for it to become your job and for it to almost become a chore sometimes. And so I had just kind of gotten into this cycle where songwriting, not that I had lost my first love, but almost to where I felt like I had lost some of that very initial, just innocent pursuit about it, where it was just really just me pouring my heart out through music. It kind of became more of, I needed to write this kind of song because the label was asking for this type of song for this kind of thing. And it just became so much more mechanical. And I feel like now I'm back to that place of just writing from my heart. And it's been, I'm going to try not to tear up, because just when I talk about it, it makes me so emotional, because I have wanted to be back in this place for so long. And I feel like God has used parenthood to get me there, and to just take me back to this childhood innocence and this childhood purity of just wanting to write about who God is and what he's doing in my life, just because it's spilling out of my heart, not because someone's telling me I need to, or I need to write a certain type of song, or there's like no mechanics about it anymore. I feel like it's just a very raw, honest, real, unfiltered, uncritical thing. And it's been so much fun. And I feel like God's birthing an album. Like, I've written so many songs about my kids and just the ups and downs of parenthood, and just so many things that have been starting to pour out of me, that I feel like an album is starting to sort of formulate for maybe, early next year. So that's just where I'm at right now. I mean, I'm still, very involved in my home church leading worship. I mean, right now it's been more of recording worship sets to stream, but, that's still a huge part of my life. I love leading worship. I'll always love leading worship, and that'll always be a big part of my life. But it's just been really fun to just be in this other place too, to get to just pour my heart out in a way that I don't feel like I've really done in a long time. So that's been a really freeing and really special season to be a part of. And it's been really cool because my daughter, she's just with me all the time. She's like my little shadow. If I can't literally go anywhere in the house she's just always following me around. And so, if I'm trying to play through something, I mean, she just listens to everything. She remembers every single word and every lyric. And so it's been really cool to hear her, singing back some of the lyrics, and their songs about them, like songs I've written about them. And she loves them. She loves hearing just these things being sung over her, and just getting to see the impact that that's already having on her little heart, and just the way she sees herself. So it's just been a really fun season, and really special to be a part of. And I don't know what God's going to do with it, but it's just, I don't really want to know. I'm just really enjoying just being in the right now, and living in the today, and just expressing what God's putting in my heart to express.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I love that. And I love how God puts in our hearts to carry different things in different seasons. And it's like he's given you this new beautiful passion to carry, and he's brought it to the surface in such a way that he only could through, like you said, through motherhood. And it makes me, I was getting choked up when you were talking, because I was thinking about, I was just having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about a handwritten heritage. You leave leave documents of the miracles, and it's like we want to document the miracles, document our journeys so that it's a testimony to our children. And for you, it's like this melodic heritage that you're singing over your children in your house, and the power that you don't even know, you don't even know the impact that you're having on your kids right now, and how this might be for you, but it also might even more so be for them and their calling that they're going to step into, and your faithfulness to be present in the moments is just, it's going to be amazing to watch it unfold. So I love it. I love hearing your heart and hearing kind of just more of what God's been doing right now, because we don't get the chance to catch up on the daily or on the, even on the yearly.
Yeah.
And so I just love hearing, what's going on in your world. And I would love to, as we were chatting beforehand, just talking about what God's doing in your heart right now, and this time of, everybody's home and we've got this kind of global shutdown that we're dealing with. But I believe so strongly that God is doing something big under the surface, and we're going to see these things play out in the coming days, weeks, months. But there is this pause that we have to take right now. And so I would love to hear a little bit about what God's been doing in your heart during this season of pause.
Yeah, I think it's been really interesting. I think what this whole pandemic has done, for at least for me, and probably for a lot of people too, is something I've been thinking about for a while, is just we as people seem to have this need to be busy, and it gives us value. We find our value in that, because we think, like, if we've got a lot going on, then it means that, we're important, or we have these things, or it just, for some reason, it just makes us feel better about ourselves, that we've got stuff going on, and that we've got places to be, and people who want to see us, and things to do.
Yes.
And I think, for me, God really used becoming a mom to start to break me of that, because, when you have a newborn, you're just home a lot. And especially when Mary Carson was a newborn, I felt like I was just on the sofa a lot. Just, she was feeding around the clock. It was just a very, very strange thing to go from just being super busy and all over the place to then just, here I am on my sofa 24/7 trying to keep this person alive. And and God began to sort of show me this through that season. And then I feel like when all this stuff happened, I've really realized just the beauty of, there's a scripture that talks about to lead a quiet life. Some translations will even say, like, mind your own business and just lead a quiet life. And it's like, I feel like that's what I'm discovering through this whole thing, is it's just so beautiful to be truly content, to just literally be at home with your family and just enjoying God and enjoying your family and enjoying the weather and enjoying every day. And that is like the most simple way to live. But it is also the most satisfying, because I just, there's really been nothing going on, and, haven't really had to be anywhere. And it's probably the first time in my adult life that I can say that that's been the case. And I feel like God has just used it to draw me to himself in a way that I don't know that anything else could have, because it's like forced upon us. It was just this thing that just happened, and everyone's in the same boat, just like nothing's happening, no one's going anywhere. And so I think for me, it's just given me a fresh perspective of what really matters and what I really want my life to be about. And it's just reminded me that, all this other stuff is, all the stuff we, quote, do for the kingdom, all the work of our hands, our careers, our ministries, like, it's important, it's valuable, it's beautiful, and God definitely uses it. But I just believe that the work at home and inside ourselves, and the work that we do, in our family, is just so powerful. There's a song that I heard recently that just absolutely annihilated me. I sat in my car and I just wept and wept. It's called "The Blessing" by Elevation and Carrie Job, and it's been out for a couple months, but I just heard it for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I just sat there and just sobbed because the lyric is specifically the bridge when they start saying, may his favor be upon you in 1,000 generations and your children and their children and their children. And I just, and then they talk about like, he is for you, like in your coming and your going and your sorrow and your rejoicing. And they paint all these, pictures of just everyday life. And I just sat there and I thought that's what it's all about. It's learning how to just walk with him in the very, very everyday mundane things, like the things that we think are so mundane. I know for me as a mom of little people, and I think a lot of moms can probably relate to this, a lot of it can feel very mundane. Like you're wiping faces, you're cleaning hands, you're changing diapers, you're putting down for nap, you're getting up from nap, you're changing clothes, you're cleaning sheets, you're like, it just, so much of it just feels like this is my life now, really.
Yes.
And I think it's just been this realization of, this is my life now. Like these people, like I get the opportunity to shape their life and to help establish who they're going to be. And just the weight of that responsibility is just overwhelming, but it's just so exciting and so rewarding. And so I think for me, just the whole pandemic thing has just really helped encourage me in that task to just not think that because I'm not as busy or because I'm not doing whatever that affects my value in any way. I think that God's using it to teach me that your value is what it is because you're mine, and it doesn't matter what you're doing or where you, like, your value is constant because you're, I'm a child of God, and he is the one who gives me value. So it's been a really sweet, we've really enjoyed all this family time, and it's been a really sweet season. I think we're going to look back on it years from now as probably one of our favorite seasons of life, just because it's been so rare and just so special to just be together so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, early on at the beginning, when all of this started happening with the pandemic and shutdowns and everything like that, there's so much question and fear and unknown and all these things that are going around, and they're very real. But I heard somebody say, our kids with let me back up, parents with small children, your small children might not remember the pandemic, right? They probably aren't going to remember the sickness, the virus, all these things, but they are going to remember the atmosphere of your home. And, they are going to remember what it was like. I remember, there was something strange going on, but we had such great family time, or I have such great memories of when dad was home, or when, mom was home, or, fill in the blank. But I think that you're so right. We have such an amazing opportunity to pause, even though it was forced. Like you said, it was kind of like, well, here we are. We don't have a choice. But it's a perspective shift of like, I get to do this. And so what are we going to do with it? And I think that's a powerful shift for us mentally and emotionally and spiritually and in life moving forward. Like, okay, God, I get to live today. What do you want me to do with it? And maybe that will help us to throw off that badge of busy that we wear like a badge of honor, and to really be like careful and intentional with, what we're taking on. And I just think about how that translates for people who are listening who are in ministry. And I mean, you've been on staff at churches, and that busyness thing is huge because there's so much to do, and there's always so many things to take on, and extra things that aren't really in the job description, but it doesn't matter because it needs to be done. Right. And for us to just make sure that we aren't making busyness the idol or the thing that we're pursuing. And I just think that that's a powerful lesson and reminder for me, especially as things start to kind of open up again. And I think everybody wants to just like break down the doors and run outside and here I am. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you. I think that there's a powerful opportunity for us to redefine family, redefine, our perspectives and our focuses and visions. So what do you see as we wrap up? What do you see as the biggest takeaway for you as, hopefully we're getting to the other side of things starting to open up again, but things aren't going to be exactly the same for society, but also hopefully in our hearts. So for you, what's a big takeaway for you as we kind of walk into this next phase after what we've all been through?
I feel like through this whole thing, it's like we've gotten to taste what, and this might not be true for everybody, so I don't want to speak for everyone, but for me, it's almost like, all this extra family time, just life slowing down so much. I feel like I've gotten to taste, this is what living, like what peace feels like just living at a pace that's peaceful rather than a pace that is just always on the move and always rushed and always trying to get things done. It's like, I feel like that's what God wants for us, is to live in a state of peace. And that doesn't mean that, life just always has to be like sitting at home doing nothing, but learning how, but now that we've tasted it, I feel like I'm going to be better going forward about figuring out how to keep that spirit into my life and into my family and into our home, how to just keep that pace, the pace of our life, and not let life get too busy, and just being more of a steward of our time and being even more jealous of our time, meaning to where, Jack and I are already pretty protective of the calendar. Like we try not to just fill it up, just needlessly. We try to be really intentional about, like not signing up for every single thing at church. And like we're very, family comes first. And so we're very intentional about, like, we know the season we're in with small kids. And so, we were involved. There was a financial ministry at our church that we were helping lead, and we love that ministry, and we were mentoring couples, and we love getting to do that. But we just decided, for right now, as much as we love doing that, it just doesn't really make sense for us to be, X number of nights a week, for us to be trying to do all this. We need to be pouring into them, because those of you that have small kids, that bedtime is like the time of the day when it all sort of comes together, and that's the snuggle time, and that's when you have some of the best conversations. And so it was, for me, it was just like, I'm not missing bedtime if I can help it. So I think that's just been even more solidified for me going forward, of just finding that right pace, just that calm pace of life, and trying to stay in that, even in the midst of having activities, but just maintaining just a state of calm. Because I think our kids feel that, they feel the difference when life just feels calm and peaceful, as opposed to just on the move and rushing and just always busy, busy, busy. So I'm excited about kind of seeing how things will change for the positive, after this whole thing is behind us.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Well, I love that, Shelley. Peaceful pace. I think that is just a wonderful place to kind of wrap up the conversation, because it is a really great thing for us to be thinking about. And for those who are listening and you don't feel like you're at a peaceful pace or a peaceful place because of life spinning around you, or jobs changing, or jobs lost, or whatever the case may be for your situation, I pray that for you, that you would be able to find a peaceful place and a peaceful pace in the days and weeks that come ahead. Because oftentimes I think that when things slow down, then it'll be peaceful. Or when things slow down, then, well, now everything has slowed down. And so we have the opportunity that even if your circumstance does not feel peaceful because you've been so strongly affected by what's been happening, I believe that God has a peaceful spot for you still. And so I pray that for each one of you. I pray that over your lives and your families and your ministries. And, if you haven't listened to the song, The Blessing, friends, go listen to it.
Yes.
Like Shelley said, it will bless your heart, blow your mind.
So good.
encourage your soul. The first time I listened to it, actually, my 5-year-old, I was in my office and she was downstairs and I had the door shut and I had it turned up so loud that she came knocking on the door and was like, "Could you turn it down?"
That's so funny. My daughter will be like, "Mommy, it's too loud. It's hurting my ears."
Oh, that's adorable. Yeah, I guess I was hurting her ears too, but I was also like shout singing at the top of my lungs too, so maybe that had something to do with it. Well, Shelly, thank you so much for taking the time today and for sharing your heart.
Thanks
I really
for having
appreciate
me.
it.
It's an honor to be here, and our family loves your family, and we just love all the times we've gotten to come up north and see you guys, and it's just been so fun watching Overflow over the years and just how God is literally overflowing through that ministry. So keep up the great work. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We love you guys too, and we look forward to the next time that we get to cross paths in person.
Yay!
And yeah, until then, blessings to you and your family and all that God is doing in your lives.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Overflow Worship Podcast. To stay up to date, please subscribe for the latest episodes and information. To learn more about the ministry of Overflow, visit overflowworship.com. If you have questions or prayer requests, we would love to hear from you. You can reach us at info@overflowworship.com.